And the last one is recklessness and resilience, right? And this one's kind of an interesting one. Like I talked about like the guys who ride motorcycles or like MMA fighters. How many of you guys have noticed that MMA fighters seem to have really hot girlfriends? Have you guys noticed that? Right? Why is that? Why is that? It's because they're doing this reckless, crazy thing, and they're showing that they can live in spite of it. They can live in spite of like literally getting in the ring and risking their lives, right? And so if you can live without doing that at a certain level, and they can live with doing that at that same level, they are genetically superior to you in the eyes of the girl, right? It's literally the idea of, when you talk about honest signals, the example that's used most often is the example of the peacock, who has these feathers that like actually hurt its survival ability, but the peahen, likes it because it shows that he can survive in spite of it. It also is an honest signal because you need certain nutrients to make those colors for the peacock as well. So in this case, for an MMA fighter, honest signal that he can protect himself, which you're literally seeing, but it's also the signal that he can survive in spite of being an idiot, right? In spite of like being an idiot and risking his life in the ring, so to speak. Does that make sense? Like in spite of taking stupid risks. And so that's actually attractive, right? You may notice that guys that are in like extreme sports, like hardcore martial arts, those kind of things, tend to have hotter girlfriends. It's not a coincidence. It's not an accident. This is actually a trigger of attraction. All right, so those are the attraction switches. I'll take one more quick, we're gonna go into more depth on these, but a quick round of very quick questions on these, yeah?
Just a small detail. When it comes to weighing between being congruent, if you have poor health, for example, your cough, or just playing up, or just not going out, for example, would you say is more powerful?
Well, it depends. So risk and reward. So if my goal, if I'm gonna go out to a club and do cold approach with a cough, my odds of having sex went up from 0 if I stayed home to some number if I had the cough, right? So you're still better off going out and trying. However, with a girl you're already seeing, if like she's already invested and you have like, it's on and there's no need to see her, and then you see her with the cough, it's what my high school math teacher would call an unnecessary display of ignorance, or unnecessary display of incompetence, right? You didn't need to show her you with a cough, and you took that risk stupidly. Does that make sense? So it goes that way. And by the way, that only matters really with small samples. Like if you have a girlfriend you're seeing like over and over and over again, and she's seen you for like 80 times, and you happen to be like, have a little sniffle one time, don't be like so anal retentive about it. It's just like the first couple of times, if you're seeing a girl that it's like a pure value type relationship, then it matters tremendously. Does that make sense? Yeah, yeah, sure. I'll take you next, don't worry. What's that?
About the interactivity.
About the what?
How do you stay underreactive to a girl that's underreactive to you?
By not caring, right? So I'll flip that around. Why would you be reactive to a girl that's unreactive to you?
If you're like invested in her, if you like her.
Why? Like why? Well, the point is, why would you do that, right? So if you're a high value guy and you have lots of abundance and a girl's being unreactive to you, why would you choose to invest in her? Why would you choose to be reactive to her, right? Now that doesn't mean you walk up and she like immediately doesn't like, oh my God, I love you, that you just like, oh, I didn't get a good response, I'm leaving. Don't go there, right? Or if a girl gives you a little hot girl blasé, yeah, definitely you can push through it, right? That's all positive. But you can take the action of being proactive and moving things forward without caring emotionally and without attaching your self-esteem or your ego to it. Does that make sense? So for example, when I'm pushing through like a hot girl blasé situation, a lot of times I actually laugh, right? So I'm like, hey, what's up? And they like, don't give me anything. No, hey, you may not have understood. Hi, I'm Todd, nice to meet you, right? So there's actually like a little bit of like humor in it, or a little bit like, oh, silly girl, you didn't get it, right? And instead of me being like, what, you didn't react to me? The fuck, everybody reacts to me. What is this shit, bitch, right? That's not good, right? So yeah, but the core question though shouldn't be how do you remain unreacted to her unreactivity? It should be why would you even get reactive, right? It shouldn't even be your natural response to get reactive. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I guess my question is similar. When you open a set and they're giving you no IOIs at all, I guess you keep pushing through.
Yeah, what I would do is I would keep talking to them or keep interacting with them. And one, not caring is an attraction trigger. I'm actually going to show you guys a set in a minute or in probably 20 minutes or something, where a girl actually gives me nothing and I just continue to talk and not care and she opens up because of it,
but is there
right?
a set where you just get discouraged and walk away? Or?
Eventually, right? I mean, I'm only going to bang my head against the wall so long, right? But in general, like the first time I wouldn't. The first little reaction, first little negativity is not a reason to leave. right? It's just they don't have enough information yet, right? So what I would do is I would continue talking to them and continue to not be reactive, and I would continue through my talking to try and convey these attraction switches, right? So for example, if I were, let's see, so for example, if I went up and she gave me nothing, I might reframe the nothing she gave me in a positive way, which demonstrates this attraction trigger of frame control while also demonstrating like confidence, like the implied social proof that comes from the confidence, right? So I'm giving her more positive information, more of these different attraction switches to play off of so that she can make a better decision for herself.
I mean, one thing I did say, like, after 5 minutes of getting nothing,
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, let's see how long we can keep this awkward silence going.
Right.
Like, something like that.
So that's okay. That's showing good humor about it and showing that you're not terribly reactive. Yeah. That's 5 minutes, huh? That's a long time. So I don't know if I'm impressed or like terrified of, but yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
So I feel like there's a link between the frame control and social proof.
Mm-hmm.
I was in an open relationship for a while, and my frame control was insane, and the social proof was good.
Mm-hmm.
But we brought in someone who was a little bit larger,
Okay.
and I liked it, but everything crumbled at that point. It was like, really this? And it was like, and I couldn't bounce back from it. There was no bouncing back, and everything exploded. How would, is there a time that
I have to clarify what you mean by we brought in someone that was a little bit larger. What does this mean? You what?
It was a fat chick.
Okay, got it. Oh, gotcha. Oh, and she was like, wait, this is what you're getting with?
What was this?
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you know, you're negative social proof. What can I say? It's kind of what she said in the back, actually. To be fair, right?
I feel like there's no bouncing back.
It's tough. I mean, I've had it like an extreme way with, like, I have a girl that I do threesomes with and whatnot, and there's certainly times where like I've chosen a girl that wasn't her taste. Or like, but then if she nixes it, I'm just like, okay, fine, no problem. I'm gonna drop it. And I don't think it's ever been like so like someone like blatantly ugly. So that definitely it plays. I don't know what to tell you. I'll just say that it just shows the strength of that attraction trigger as far as that goes. I mean, I don't know what to tell you as far as turning it around. But yeah, I mean, if the relationship was strong enough, in theory, you should be able to. But yeah, just that story just basically highlights the attraction trigger. Yeah.
I got a question about iconography. So if your iconography like really clashes with the girl's iconography, couldn't that actually be kind of helpful in that you offer something different and maybe we create some tension and story that way between the two of you?
Ready for the most pick-up-y answer ever? If your frame control is good, yes. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Right, so if you can frame your iconography in a positive way for her, then that's fine. Right? And that's actually huge. A lot of what I'm doing when I'm talking to different girls is actually, it has to deal with framing my iconography, framing my life in such a way that it's a win for them if they're a part of it. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, I'll take it in the back and then over here. Yeah.
Can you give an example of how you frame unresponsiveness?
Oh, you're shy. It's okay. Don't worry. I know I can be very overwhelming, but hi, I'm Todd. Make sense? Right? So think to yourself, if I were the prince of a kingdom, right? If someone was unresponsive to me, would I think it's because I'm low value? No, because I'm the fucking prince, right? There's no chance it's low value. So how would the prince react? Be like, oh, no, sorry, you must not have heard me. Hi. Does that make sense? Right, so that's a good go-to to begin with. All right, yeah.
Is the absence of any of these like would absolutely kill you? Is there like some one that you think is, because I'm going through this as like a checklist of myself. And some I think I've gotten more developed than others. Is there one you think that like is absolutely necessary that if you don't have it would be the most critical?
I mean, I can look and try and answer that. The best answer I would give you is every % you can improve any one of these is all a positive. So there's certainly none that you should actively attempt to neglect. I'll tell you that. In terms of, yeah, if you have, okay, so what's gonna happen with these is think of them as like, so literally they are like switches, right? So each one of them sort of like, hypothetically, if you had like an attraction score, right? You flip this switch, your attraction score goes up. You flip this switch, your attraction score goes up. Not having them per se not having one might make your attraction score go down, right? And it's possible that maybe there's a ratio where like anyone you don't have maybe makes your attraction score go down by like 3 or 4 times as much as each one you do have, right? Because remember, honest signals, negative ones are more honest, right? But I wouldn't say that there's one that you absolutely have to have. Like for example, say for example, if you had like power, you're like the dictator of a country, you could get away with missing a lot of these and you'd still crush it. Also, well, by definition, you'd probably get some social proof and some other things out of it too. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like if you do well enough at a few of these, first of all, they kind of come together and work together. But secondly, they can kind of overpower the negatives. Right? Same thing I said to him before. It's not about never making a mistake in game. It's about doing so many things right that your few mistakes that you make don't really matter.
The example you gave about the fighting her back, or being subtle about it. You don't have enough compliance, you don't have enough frame control, but she doesn't get it. And so you describe like, oh, I know this place has got, they had a great bottle of wine, so they go through the city, and you're walking back to her place, she's like, where is this place? How do you reframe that in a way that's not needy or something?
Right, so it's a combination of frame control and like trying to lack agenda, right? And so a lot of times what I would do in that situation is I would give very honest answers, but not fully detailed honest answers, right? Where is this place? Oh, it's close, just a couple blocks, right? As opposed to, where is this place? It's up my staircase into my living room, right? You see the difference, right? And so, and the other thing is that it's very blasé, right? If she's like, where is this place? You're like, it's just a couple blocks, right? That's not good. Be like, oh no, it's not far, it's just a couple blocks, right? The fact that you don't seem to care, the fact that you're not very reactive to it, and that you don't perceive it as though, like if you perceive it that you manipulated her and got caught, and that comes through in your actions, you are fucking done. Like you're just done, right? Like maybe you can manage out of it, but it's like you'd have to like do some like crazy backflip ninja shit, right? That's tough, okay? But if even if you do get caught, so to speak, in doing that, but it's just like not a big deal, i.e., oh yeah, it's my place, why wouldn't it be? Right? Like as in you didn't do anything wrong and there wasn't any agenda behind it, then you're probably okay. Does that make sense? And also the idea that if you wanted to leave or if she wanted to leave, it'd be totally fine, right? Because that conveys lack of agenda as well and gives her freedom and whatnot. Does that make sense? So it's a situation where obviously on a communication level you fucked up maybe, but if you can get the sub-communications right, you can eke your way out of it, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah, in the back.
Yeah, but by handling logistics like earlier, wouldn't you avoid all that?
Yeah, in theory, and that would help you with A, not having to deal with as much like social pressure and bullshit, and B, it would help you in terms of showing that you know how to escalate the right way, right? Most times when you take a girl home, she knows. I mean, she may not explicitly exactly know, but like she has an inkling that there's a strong possibility that maybe you're taking her home, right? Let's give girls a credit for having a little bit of an IQ, right? So she probably knows, but girls will respect the fact that that you handled it in a way that you understood the social parameters for her, and you showed that you're not going to be someone to ruin her reputation. You showed that you're going to help her to frame things in a way that's positive for her emotionally and that kind of stuff. Like it's a massive positive trait. Basically, like knowing how to escalate physically, like when you touch a girl, if it feels good to her, or if you pull her in like a smooth way, that kind of stuff, it makes a significant difference. It's massively, massively powerful. All right, let's talk about outer game tactics. You guys may have seen all these outer game tactics, okay? Now let's talk about them. I'll talk briefly about what they are, and then I'll talk about how they hit the attraction triggers, all right? So push-pull. How does push-pull hit the attraction triggers? Push-pull, first of all, is giving a girl a compliment along with a negative, right? So when you give your compliments along with negatives, number one, you're not putting yourself into the frame of nice guy, right? You're avoiding the frame of nice guy because the fact that you're willing to say that negative thing, right, it makes the positive actually more meaningful. Isn't that weird? If you just gave a girl a straight up compliment, she might be, oh, nice guy kissing my ass. Whereas if you give a girl like a push-pull compliment, a compliment with a negative, she's probably gonna believe the compliment more and it's probably gonna do more for her emotionally. Crazy enough, right? And it's also putting you in the right frame, all that kind of stuff. Disqualifiers. That's when you're specifically pointing out reasons why it wouldn't work between you and the girl. Now ask yourself this. A guy that has no abundance, that is needy for every girl he can get, would he be willing to push a girl away and say, no, it won't work out between us? No, he'd be like, please, please let it work. Please, I'll get down, I'll do anything, right? The fact that you're willing to say a disqualifier right, is very, very useful. You know, one of the best lines I have like through like the early qualification stages of a set, I look at the girl, I'm like, it's not you, it's me. Right? That's a full disqualifier. It's like basically enacting the idea of selective guy, breakup, not gonna happen, etc. Right? So pushing a girl away, the willingness to not just qualify yourself, or here's another subtle one, right? I was talking to a girl on Immersion this week, and she wasn't from New York, and she said all New York guys are just such assholes, right? Now, what would the typical guy do there? He'd be like, oh no, I'm not an asshole, I'm the nice guy, I'm da 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 da. I was like, don't complain to me, sister, I'm the worst one. She loved me for it. It was ridiculous. Okay, why? Because I'm like willing to disqualify. Right? It shows a lot of high value, and it's cheeky. I'm not like actually the worst one, right? But the fact that I'm willing to take that risk says so many good things.
So you passed the shit test, right?
Huh?
That's kind of a shit test?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, the shit test, that's actually interesting. Here's an interesting way of looking at shit tests. Oh, not all shit tests, but a lot of shit tests are tests of whether you will supplicate. Think about that, right? Because that's what that is. That's a will he supplicate shit test, right? So if by not supplicating you pass the test. Yeah?
So disqualifying, you're saying about yourself, so it's basically like self-deprecation test?
Yeah, except it's not self-deprecation, because you wouldn't, so I wouldn't disqualify to incompetence, right? Like I wouldn't okay, this is tough. Okay, so, because I would sometimes. Okay, so in that case, what I'm disqualifying is our relationship or us getting along. I'm not disqualifying myself as a competent human being. Do you understand the distinction? Right, by me saying because the reason she's saying New York guys are assholes, she's saying New York guys are bad because they're assholes, right? So by me saying I'm the worst, I'm not saying I'm like lame and have no qualities you'd like. I'm saying I'm the high value guy who you'd hate even more than the average asshole. Does that make sense? So I'm disqualifying the relationship, but I'm not lowering my own sort of social value. Get it? Don't get it? Yes? Okay. The reason I changed the other thing I said about self-deprecation is I will self-deprecate when it's clearly not true. Okay? So I will not, if a girl doesn't know that I'm confident, I won't use the, oh, I'm so shy line, because she might actually believe it. But if it's massively obvious I'm confident, like I've talked to like 10 other girls in front of her and like introduced my students to other girls and it's just clear, I'm like, nah, I'm shy, I would never, right? Now it's clearly not true, so it works out. Yeah, but it has to be clearly that that's the case. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. Next one, frame control. I already mentioned that frame control is an attractive quality in and of itself. So frame control as a tactic is very useful. And here's how you can use it. One, reframing. So if there's a negative frame, you can reframe it. Secondly, and this one's not utilized very well by most people, you should tell your stories in such a way that you're implying a frame, right? A lot of people think frame control is reframing, like she puts out an idea of the world and you're changing it to your idea of the world. How much better is it if you just tell a story that conveys your idea of the world in the first place? You don't have to change the idea if you just put it out there. So as you're telling stories, like if a girl asks about past relationships, that's a great opportunity for you to frame the type of relationship you want or the type of guy you are. Right? If a girl asks what you do for a living, it's a great way for you to frame your values and what you believe is important in the world. Right? So take those opportunities. Think about what you're conveying in those situations. And then pacing and leading. This is a concept from neurolinguistic programming. Pacing and leading basically means if you start with things that are obviously true and you build to things that are not. So for example, if I said to, let's say you, like, okay, so you and I, like we're both human beings, right? Right, so as human beings, we both have feelings, correct? Correct. Right, and so funny thing is that even though we're strangers, that we have that similarity, right? And so I think it's wonderful that we can form this great bond and connection even as strangers, and I think it's wonderful that we like each other in the way that we do. Right? Does that make sense? That's pacing and leading, right? So what did I do? I did two things. I did what's called a yes ladder. I got him to say yes, 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 right? And I started with things that are so blatantly, obviously true that he can't say no to them. And then I said things that build on them. And then I kind of went a little further and a little further and a little further, where there were some logical fallacies in those last couple, but they're subtle enough and they're fast enough that most people just go along with it and agree with it. All right, so that's called pacing and leading. Qualification, right? Getting the girl to tell you why she's cool or why you should be with her. Well, number one, we talked about commitment and consistency, right? Getting her to qualify definitely plays into that. And also getting her to qualify says, I'm a high value guy, I'm selective, et cetera, et cetera. So very, very powerful, and that's why it works, okay? Also, understand this, by knowing why these things work, it helps you to know when to do them, okay? If you understand the reason you're doing them, it helps you to use them at the right places, right? So for example, if you're already way too high value, you wouldn't use disqualifiers. Because if you understand what the disqualifiers do, you'd know that that's counterproductive in that case. Okay, so understanding the why matters a lot. I see a lot of guys, they go out and like, oh, I saw Max do this, I saw Julian do this, I saw you do this, and they mindlessly repeat these lines completely out of context, right? Understanding the why helps you contextualize it, helps you do it in the right place. Next, back turns and takeaways, right? Obviously, any kind of like rejection conveys abundance, conveys that you're high value, it conveys that you're the prize, all that kind of stuff. Silence and space. So a lot of guys, they're talking at the girl, and the girl can't get a word in edgewise. Or the girl can't, even if she wanted to compliment them or contribute to the conversation, can't do so. It's impossible to get commitment from the girl in that case. So if you start out talking, no matter how long the set goes, you're gonna be talking, it's gonna be very, very difficult. If instead you leave some silences, you leave some gaps, you let them participate, you let them fill in those silences, even to the point of awkward silence, then that can be very, very powerful. And then finally, we have passing shit tests, which obviously we all know is useful in conveying that you're the right type of guy, no agenda, right category, and is essentially just a special case of frame control. It's like frame control under pressure, right? So that's very, very powerful as well. But I would say these are the outer game tactics of attraction. Most other tactics that you can come up with as attraction tactics are probably just another form of these. Like you could say like something like mini cold reads, like calling out things about her is an attraction tactic. But really I would say any of those that work are gonna be either a frame control, a disqualifier, or a push-pull within the tactic itself, right? So I think these are kind of the fundamental building blocks. Does that make sense? Yeah? All right, cool.